There we go. It's all good. Okay, so of course this is Blackboard. I think you guys know that. You guys know Blackboard? Get at it. So let's see here. I made an announcement, I'm told, at an unreasonable hour. All right, our course ID in here is Cook 22966. You need that when you go to MyMathLab in order to, be able to do the homework that I've made, right? So let's actually get into the MyMathLab. I'll show you. Actually, while I'm here, see if I can see in course content. I have a guide on starting MyMathLab. This was provided to me by one of the other instructors. So be careful if you are following this to get started, not to just put that in as your course ID, because then you wouldn't be doing my homework. You would be doing a different professor's homework, and you don't want that, right? Because then I can't give you points. You'd like to earn points in this course, right? Because you're in this course. I mean, common sense. So this is pretty self-explanatory. Students don't usually have trouble with it. If you do have trouble with it, the best thing you can do is talk to one of your fellow students. I will be less useful. I will try to help you, but trust me, a other student who's already done it, that's who you want to talk to, right? I mean, now when we get to the math, you should talk to me. Probably. Or the Math Help Center is also good. Okay, so let me sign in here. All right, so the age-old problem of pop-ups. So there's a heavy-handed solution to this, which is just to disable pop-ups on your machine, which is what I'll do because I'm lazy. But of course, the responsible thing to do would be just to disable, to allow pop-ups on the MyMathLab website, right? Because maybe you still want to disable pop-ups from other websites, right? There's a way of doing that. And the Pearson, if you click on this how to adjust your settings, it walks you through it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to mindlessly hunt around until I find it again. And if you guys tell me where to go before I get there, that'd be awesome. I think it's privacy, security. See, it says here, site settings. Somewhere down here, it's pop-ups and redirects down there. And I just say, allowed. So I think, I don't know if that does it just for this site or if it does it for all, and I don't really care. Because, I'm bad at security. What can I tell you? All right, so sign in. For MyMathLab, for your for purposes of identification, try to use your your user ID, your UWA user ID, or at least use something that I can clearly identify as being you. If you've got some sort of really cool nickname your friends use, don't use that, please, because I won't know what it is, and then I'll be like, why does Moondog787 doing the homework, and they have an A in the homework, but who are they? But and then again, there's only 15 people here, so I'll probably figure it out. But I was almost right. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, so my username happens to be this, whatever. I forget my password. I hope I can remember it. Well, that's good. Otherwise, I'd be... Go away. All right. So which section are we in? 7. So as you can see, section 7 is 22966. So you need that when you're starting this. go in there. Now, my math lab has all kinds of bells and whistles, right? But the only thing that I'm, it has a study plan and all this other stuff. All that I expect you to do for points in here is the assignments. You can do those other things. They're good learning aids and so forth. But I just expect you to do the homework in here. Keep it pretty simple. I don't do quizzes online. I don't do tests online. Like quizzes, tests, they're all here. All right? Or, God forbid we suspend residential classes, then it's through Zoom and it's a mess. But it's going to be here, right? Because we're all going to stay safe and keep our masks on or whatever it is. Or anyway, hopefully we will not have that happen. Getting to the point here, you see the assignments tab. If you click on that, that'll take us to the homework. All right. Also, see right here, e-text. This is why you don't need to buy a book. If you're content with the electronic copy of the book, you can access it from right here. Now, if you want, you could buy a copy of the book separately to have it to look at, right? I mean, maybe you just got like more money than you need, and you just want to like spend $200 on a really nice looking math book or something. I don't know how much this thing costs. How much is it? It might be less. I don't know. How much is this? Does anybody know how much? Do you remember how much it was at the bookstore? No idea. Scholarship pay for it? No, you just don't remember. I'm told it's one price at the bookstore and it's another price online. So if you got scholarship money, I'm told by a student that all the books are cheaper online. I, as a faculty, should not say such things, as we have certain binding agreements with the bookstore. I'm probably sure, but that's usually the case. Where I previously was, the bookstore would mark things up 37%. I don't know what it does here, but anyway, this is actually the book. The thing I showed you last time was not the book. It was something else. Same authors. That's my confusion, but this is actually the book. Although this is the instructor's copy, but whatever. Again, you can access it through right here. I'll click on that. Actually, I'm not going to click on that because sometimes when I click on that, I can't get out of it. Oh, fine. I'm worried about it. I got stuck in the ebook somehow on my personal computer, and I couldn't get out of it. My wife did something, and then I was out of it, though. So it's possible to get out. It's just, it was above my skill set, which isn't saying much, electronically speaking. So, like, here's the, come on. You can do it. You can do it. All right, there it is. So, intermediate algebra. And like, okay, so the first homework that I have assigned you is from this just-in-time review. It's all stuff like set of real numbers, like less than, greater than, absolute value, order of operations, exponential notation, all this good stuff. So there's something like 60 problems from that chapter, but they should all be pretty simple. If you're having trouble with those, we should talk about it. All right. I don't expect you've tried them yet. I just made this announcement about homework like yesterday, right? Yeah. So, and then, so like we've already started working on solving equations like last time, right? So we'll do more of this. We'll probably finish up chapter, this part, and we'll probably move on to any inequalities by the end of today if everything goes like I want it. Okay? I mean, that's what happened Wednesday, so if I don't blather on too long about this here, we should be fine. But we'll keep going. I think we're a little bit different. I chose to omit a section or two that other sections of this course are covering, and like I added a section or two at the end. Like I think it's healthy for you guys to have more time on quadratic equations at the end. So I've shifted things around a little bit so we'll get to quadratic equations faster, because I think it's important. It's such an important topic that you should really have that cemented and firm in your mind before you leave this course, right? And I think the thing I removed was like a section or two on word problems. So none of you will complain. Am I right? Yeah. Oh, you like word problems? Okay. It's like the other students will find you in the hall. No, see. Sorry. I will stop. Okay. So there's your e-text. Let me go back to assignments. I'm gonna look at the manage view because I can. You can't, I don't think, because you're not the manager. But here's the homework. See it? Whee!
Wait, hold up. That's what you sent us?
Do you see the date? He was scrolling too fast. I ain't got time to look at that.
He said, here's the homework.
Yeah, here's the homework. There you go. There's the homework. See, look.
Wow.
Okay, I'll stop. So the I wish I could find a better. See if I can find a better view here. Sorry, this computer is not helpful to me. Yeah, hi James, indeed. Come on. Usually there's like a little student view, and I am not seeing it. You know. So I think this is what it'll look like for you when you get in there, all right? Which isn't terribly informative. In fact, I don't know. I think you'll have an easier time understanding what is due when if you just look at my course planner. Like, well, what's your course planner? Well, let's look at that. That's not in my math lab. Let me summarize. My math lab, well, let's actually go into one before I get back to the other. I'll go back to assignments. Let's click on like the second one, okay? Come on. So, I mean, here's what it looks like. One of them, right? You've got 5y minus 3 equals to minus 37. Is minus 7 a solution to the equation? How do you answer this question? What do you do? Yeah, I think what you guys are telling me is plug it in and see if it works, right? So you plug in minus 7. 5 times minus 7 is negative 35. Negative 35 minus 3 is negative 38. Is negative 38 negative 37? It is not. So the answer is no. There, I did one of your homeworks for you. Are you happy? So there's, a bunch of these. I think there's 16 in this one. So let me go. No. Not really. But look here. So I have a couple things to show you. The one is the course planner. So let me explain to you how I have the course structured. So what I do is I essentially open all of the homework that is due up till test 1 about right now. So there's tons of homework that you can look at and try to do that we have not talked about in class yet. All right? So I don't shield you from problems we haven't covered. Right? It's kind of up to you to understand, oh, we're in section 1.1, maybe I should work on 1.1 problems, right? And every so often I'll tell you, oh, you should probably be done with the homework through section whatever and so forth as we're going, But just to give you the maximum sort of elasticity, flexibility in your schedule, I give you all the homework up till test 1 right at the start. Now, I do ask that you finish, see that? Well, just a second. Hey, how about that Tres Hermanos? Is it any good? Is that good? The Tres Hermanos? Is that any good? It's a movie? In my other section, there's a guy who claims he's never seen any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mentioned Thanos as a villain. He's like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, yeah, everybody knows who Thanos is. I mean, yeah, the glove dude. This person claims to have never seen like any of the Marvel movies. I don't know if I believe him. not seen all of them, not seen the Avengers. I mean, that's understandable. There's a lot, right?
You ever seen Flushed Away?
No,
What?
it's here.
Dude, have you seen that? Hey, bro, that's a good movie.
Uh-oh. I think I may have opened a door. Okay, so, sorry. My bad. I started it. I'll have to end it, though. Okay, so the first, my math lab assignment, and it's not just one. There's like a couple, a bunch that are due August 29th at 10 p.m., which is, 9 days from now or whatever. So you want to try to get those done by then. All right? Now, which ones are those? Those are the homework that's like it's the homework from chapter 1, basically. So the just-in-time review problems that are basically on like the previous math, and also how to solve one equation and one unknown like we did last time. And then in addition, there's some problems on like sets, inequalities, interval notation, and we'll be talking about the rest of chapter 1 either the end of today or next week, okay? So that's the first thing that's technically due, is that it's not just one thing. It's like about, I think it's 1, 2, maybe seven sections problems are due there. I can tell you exactly how many problems if you give in a minute. I'll come back to it, okay? And then moving forward, the second bunch of, the next time it's due is the 9th of September, all right? So basically I'm saying I'm collecting all the, I'm asking you to finish all of my math lab problems in like each chapter every so often. But I'm letting you see all the problems that are relevant up to the first test right at the beginning. Once we get past that first test, like the day after, all of the homework which is relevant to the second test will appear. And then you can start working on that. You can work ahead, right? If you want to. Now, and then you notice like right before, what happens right before test 1? We've got a quiz 1, right? So you guys take quiz 1, and then I collect it, and then we talk about the solution, right? And that hopefully will prepare you for test 1, so there's not a disaster. Of course, the most important thing for you to do is to actually carefully do the homework. Now, like what we just did, thinking through plugging the number in, not writing anything down, that's not best, right? We should have a notebook. You should be like writing, this is number blah, this is my work. So if you get stuck on it, you come to me and say, this is what I tried, it didn't work, And you need to get in the habit of writing it out, because you're going to have to write out steps on the test, right? Yes, we write steps, okay? Okay, so where was I? So I hope that makes sense. I think it's easier to see in this thing. I put this in course content. It's called the course planner. It's easier to see like where we are and what's due here as opposed to anywhere else, in my opinion. Like there's a calendar in my math lab, but I think this is easier to look at. So that's why I made it for you. And also it has other happy things like Labor Day and Assessment Day, and more importantly, Thanksgiving break. Woohoo! Yeah, those are off days. Well, Assessment Day is come to school and engage in assessment. There's no classes, but we want the students to be around for various surveys and fun stuff. There's free food and candy. You should definitely be here. No, I don't know. It really does help us for you to be here on that day. If everybody was not here, we couldn't really do the assessment day activities. I'm sure there'll be more about that when we get closer to it. I'm new here, I don't know, I'm just guessing. We had assessment day at my old school, and we would find various ways to harass the students into being there for what we needed them to be there. Some classes have activities due on that day if they're tied into the assessment. Is there a cornhole tournament? That's a good suggestion. If there is, you'll be there. I like that. Is betting on cornhole, is that legal in Alabama? If you don't tell anyone? Okay. All right, so here's the list of topics that we're covering, right? And like the end of the course, we'll talk about how to solve quadratic equations a variety of ways and how to understand them. Okay, so now let me break it down for you. We have 3 tests. Each is worth 150 points. So that gives us a total of 450 points from tests. That's 45% of the grade. There are 4 quizzes. 1 before each test, the first 3 tests, and there's 1 at the very end to try to make sure that you're ready for the quadratic equation stuff on the final, right? So we want to have that the last day of class. I give you a quiz on quadratic equations and functions and stuff like that. The quiz 4 is on the material past test 3, so it's basically just on these 2 days, chapter 7. And so we'll have a quiz on basically quadratic equations and graphing quadratic functions, and then we'll review for the final that day, okay? Hopefully this is right. I tried to copy that from the official schedule for final exams, which was posted on the website. The final is worth 250 points. As you can see, it's a little bit more than a test because the final is comprehensive. I mean, honestly speaking, in the past, if I've had a student who just totally aced the final but like failed a test, I'll tend to look the other way on the failed test. You know, it means a lot to me if you can show me that you improve on the final. That's always the case in my classes. Homework. Homework is worth 150 points. So there's like 1,000 points in the course. 900 to 1,000 is an A. 800 to 900 is a B, and so forth. All right. 700 to 800 is a C. There's a more careful statement of this in the syllabus, which is also posted in course content. And but okay, so my math lab, there are actually a total, this is what you're wondering, 525 my math lab problems. Like that one we just looked at, I solved one of them.
That's how many there are altogether.
Total of 525. That's a lot, yeah. So what is that? Actually, that's, yeah, so how many weeks we have in semester? What, 15? So roughly speaking, how many math problems do you need to finish a week then? It's 525 divided by 15 is what? I don't know.
Probably 50 questions of, not 50, but 20.
Yeah, between 30 and 40. Like 40 times 15 would be 600, and 30 times 15 would be 450. So that's not actually that bad, though. All right, and I'm here to help. Now, so my math lab points are not the same as course points, right? There's a correspondence, and so what I agreed with the other class was that every 3 my math lab points would count as 1 course point. So what this means is if you get 450 of the my math lab problems done correctly, you've already earned this 150 points towards your score. If you go further and you complete the my math lab homework, that actually will earn you 25 bonus points towards the end of the course, which could, help cover up a bad test day or something, right? So I think that's pretty generous, actually. I don't usually announce this sort of thing at the start, but I wanted to encourage you that the homework is important. Please do try to complete it. So the other thing I told the other class, and I'll tell you, is once this due date comes, I think you can't work on it past that point. It should be set up so after the due date's passed, you can't work on it. But it's very likely that at the very end of the course, like right before Thanksgiving probably, I will open all the homework back up so you can finish ones you didn't get earlier. What I don't want you to do is to be worrying about that last couple problems in my math lab, right before the test. I want you to be focusing on the core ideas to get ready for the test, not to be quibbling over a couple points in the homework. So don't worry if you missed a couple points in the homework. I will open it up again, at the very end, so you can come back and get those points later. So that makes sense? But of course, you want to get the majority of the points early on, because if you don't, you won't understand the material, and then you'll fail the test, and then, that's bad. You don't want to take this course again, right? No. Okay, so the other thing, I also have this lovely Excel sheet. And what this is, so the other thing to mention is the grade in my math lab doesn't really mean anything. Like if there's a percentage there, a running average, it means something, but I don't really know what it means. What matters is the number of problems you have completed. So you're looking for like the total number of points. Once you get to 450, you have 150 points in the course. You're good. Past that is even better. My math lab problems will not for sure appear in Blackboard until the very end of the semester, at which point I will add a column which has like total my math lab points, and I will put them in by hand. So it doesn't automatically transfer over to Blackboard. Blackboard's grade book is where you will see your grade for like test 1, quiz 1, test 2, quiz 2, test 3, quiz 4, and the final. Those will all be posted in Blackboard in those. I'll also write the number on your paper, and I will give you back the paper, because that's what I do. Okay, so because I try to write, I don't write terribly detailed comments on tests when I grade. I just usually write an X where I think something's wrong. But what I do is I said do. What I do is sorry, I have 5 children. Anyway, so I write solutions. I write solutions to the tests, and I post those, all right, and the quiz too. So you can always look at my solution and try to figure out like where you went wrong, and there's not just one right way to do things, in math. So here's actually the breakdown section by section. Like the just-in-time review has 60 problems, but they're all pretty simple. It shouldn't take long. Like my math lab estimates that can be done in 40, 50 minutes. So this one, 1.1 has 16, 1.3 has 6 problems, 10, and you see on down the line. So for the most part, it's got like 5 to 15 problems. But every so often, there's a section which has more. Like there, section 6.8's got 29 problems. But I have posted this in course content, so you can see ahead how much there's coming at you. So I hope that helps. I want you guys to be able to kind of budget your time wisely, and don't wait till the day before the homework is due to do all of it. Like take small bites and come get help when you need it. All right? That's what I'm here for. So, all right. Well, with that, I'm gonna put this away if I can. And do some more examples. Let me close this computer over here. I gotta give me a second to get things going on my. I do better on my own computer. This thing over here is not to my liking. So you guys have any big plans this weekend? Sleep? That does sound nice, I will say. I actually won't be here tomorrow. I have to go up and my dad is not well. He will probably pass soon. He had a stroke about 9 years ago, and his health's been kind of declining since then. My mom just brought him home from the nursing home because she hasn't been able to see him for 5 months because of the COVID. So she wanted him to make sure that he knew that people loved him and so forth. So we're all trying to go home and spend some time with him. So I need to leave Friday to be up there for that. So I won't be here. Just to warn you, in case you're coming to my office hours or something. But I should still respond to email this weekend if you send one. So. What's that? Yeah, thank you. All right. So what I will generally try to do in here is look at your homework and maybe work some problems that are kind of like stuff in your homework, right? And because that usually gets to the point of what you guys want to know about. I mean, doing the homework is doing the course. That is how we learn math, right? So let's do some. All right, let me get this out of here. So I'll start with something that's kind of like number 13 from section 1.1. So we have x plus 6 equals to 39. Again, this is like section 1.1, number 13. And the instructions say to solve it using the addition principle. What's the addition principle? It means like you can add the same thing to both sides of the equation as a means to solve it, right? So we should, I would say this is the subtraction principle personally. Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to subtract 6 from each side, right? And that will give me x equals to 33. There you go, that's the solution. I think that one's actually easier than a lot of the ones we looked at last time, isn't it? Yeah. Let me try to find one that's more complicated here. Man, these are too easy. What? I should have given you guys harder problems. Section 1.1, number 43. Sort of. Oh, sort off? No, sort of. Of. All right, so I'm going to change the numbers a little bit. Suppose we've got like, I don't know, minus 2/3 x plus 1/3 equals to, I don't know, -5. Can you solve it? Subtract 1/3 from each side. All right. I'll bite. Minus 2/3 x equals -5 minus 1/3, right? Okay, what is this? That's -5 times 3. Excuse me, I'm going to write it this way. That's -5 times 3 divided by 3 minus 1/3, right?
How do you get the top 3? How did you put that whole number up there? Fraction. 16.
Well, I think you guys agree that there's 1, 3, and 3, right? So what I did here was I said that -5 is equal to -5 times 1, but I'm writing 1 as 3/3, and that is equal to -5 times 3 divided by 3. Now, why would I do that? Because I want you to confuse. Answers include because I want to confuse you. Because I want to.
I feel like there's no solution.
So the reason I did that is so that we can. The reason I did that is so that we can combine the fractions, right? We have to make them have a common denominator in order to add them or subtract them in this case. So with that step, I can then see that 5 minus 5 minus 1/3 is actually minus 16 over 3, right? That's okay. So what did we get to then?
Can we take a vote on one section out of the book to not have to do?
Fraction.
We do fractions all that.
I hate fractions.
You hate fractions.
Dude,
Well,
I don't want to learn how to do it. I want to just put it in my phone.
I have a way around it, but I'm going to keep going with this one. So minus 2. Now, how do we solve that? Divide by minus 2/3. Okay. So divide by minus 2/3. You know what I'm going to do though? I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to say we're going to multiply by minus 3/2.
Oh, yeah, it's negative, we gotta flip it.
So we have minus 3/2 times minus 2/3 x equals to minus 3/2 minus 16 over 3. So these cancel, right? That's the whole point, just like you're dividing. This is, I mean, this and that, they're the reciprocal of one another, so we multiply them, we get 1. So on the left-hand side, we have x. I'm not saying anything different than you guys. Like, I'm just dividing by minus 2/3 is all. What happens over there? The 3's cancel, right? So what does that leave us? And the minuses, minus times minus gives me plus, right? I heard an 8. I like that. So we got 16 over 2, right? Which is otherwise known as 8. So there you go. X equals to 8 is the answer. Now, gentleman on the side said that he didn't care for these fractions. He didn't care for them one bit. And I actually agree with that sentiment. I mean, fractions are, unpleasant. So if you wanted to, like, not work with, because we've seen that we can do it, right? There's some cause for concern, right? There's some places here you might have got stuck in the arithmetic. One thing that you could do to help you with that is use your calculator, right? You could have done that. But there is another way, a simpler way to solve this problem, and that is to identify the enemy at the start, namely fractions, and to annihilate them. How do you get rid of fractions? Multiply by 3. Right, if we multiply by 3 at the start, our life would have been much easier. So multiply by 3. So there's two major things we can do to equations, right? We can add the same thing to both sides, and we can also multiply by a non-zero number. 3 is non-zero, we can multiply the equation, it doesn't change the solution set. If we do something to the equation which changes the solution set, then we have to be careful to go back and check later. We'll get to those eventually. Okay, so multiply by 3, what happens? You've got minus 2x plus 1 equals to minus 5 times 3. Does that make sense? Do you see why that minus 2/3 times 3 gives me minus 2 times the x, right? And 1/3 times 3 gives me 1. I can write it out and go. But I think in this case, whoa, that's going to be a problem. Oh yeah, so, feel free. Have you guys ever seen Dirty Rotten Scoundrels? Really? Oh, you've never seen this movie? Steve Martin, and I forget who else, but Steve Martin's one of the main people in that movie. And there's this scene where he's at the dinner table with some other people, and he asks if he can go to the bathroom. And they say, sure. And I'll let you watch the movie. Let's see here. So minus 2x. That's a very, very funny movie. So yeah, I have to subtract 1 from each side, right? So I get minus 15 minus 1, which is minus 16. And so what does that give us? That gives us minus 2x equals minus 16. So we divide the equation by minus 2. We get x equals to minus 16 over minus 2, which is 8. So yes, I mean, I think it is absolutely clear that this is the smarter way to solve this problem, right? Because we avoid all that annoying fraction stuff. Another school of thought says you should do the fraction stuff because you're bad at it, right? You should try to get better. You guys are not on board with that, though. I can sense it. All right, let's try one that looks a little bit different. Here's another example. I mean, what's that? Yeah, 121. What's the question?
Never mind. It just cleared it up. I'm good now.
Oh, okay.
That made a lot more sense.
Sorry, I kind of got squeezed into a corner here, which is a bad practice, right? I mean, like, that's an important principle. It's like, start a problem where you got room to write it out.
I was confused on like where the 3 is on the bottom.
Ah,
It came down like 2x, but he just explained it's not.
okay. I mean, that was a step I skipped.
Yeah, I was like,
I was worried that I was skipping that step would be a problem. So technically speaking, this is what I didn't write down.
yeah.
But if you have that question, other people have that question.
I'd have been good.
So the 3's cancel. We're left with minus 2 times x plus 1. So this right here is the missing link to go from here to here.
Now, if we do that, do we have to write all that out?
No.
All right.
But if you don't write that out and you make a mistake, then it's hard for me to give partial credit also.
Yes, sir.
So this is the conundrum. I mean, that is always a struggle. Like, how much math should you do in your head versus how much you should write down? Like, how far should steps be between each other, right? I could write many, many more steps than I've written. It would just confuse all of you, right? Because if I write more steps than you think you need, then you will be confused. So I'm going to confuse someone. I'm trying not to. Okay. Are we good on that previous problem? I'm going to focus on this new one. 4x plus 7x equals 121. How do we solve that? What's that you guys say? So I should combine these? So 4x plus 7x is? Divide by 11. And everyone recognizes 121 is 11 times 11, right? So this is actually 11. Oh, hey, is it locked? Oh, I'm sorry. All right, let me move along here. All right, so here we have something like 3/5. Three-fifths B minus 1/2 equals 44 over 5. 44 over 5 minus 5/2 B. So by the way, this is kind of like number 69 in section 1.1. So multiplying by 3 was a good idea in the other one. When does our class start? I can't remember. 2 o'clock. So that means I have till 3:30, right? Oh, okay. Yeah, he's learned. 3:15, okay. All right. Okay, so I guess I should ask you, should we multiply by 2 or should we multiply by 5? But if we multiply by 5, we're still going to have fractions, because like 5 times minus 1/2 is still minus 5/2. If we multiply by 2, we're going to have 6/5 B, and we're going to have, 88/5. We'll still have fractions. Man, we're stuck. If we
So when we multiply, is it just multiply the numerator or is it multiply the denominator?
when we multiply, it's a good question. We're always using the distributive property. So we like a times x plus y equals to ax plus ay. If those are fractions, which is I think what you're asking about, say a times like p over q plus, I don't know, m over n, that when we multiply that through, we get a times p over q plus a times m over n, and that means we multiply the numerators, right? That's a times p over q plus a times m over n. So this is just the distributive property and how it works out when we multiply a number times the sum of two fractions.
I think I kind of understand it a little bit. This is like my work.
I'm just responding to his question. My point was, whatever number we multiply this by, we're multiplying the numerators, you know? So 2 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work. 10. Now that sounds like a good idea. What happens if we multiply by 10? And I will write out the steps. Right? And then following the pattern I just wrote over there, what happens is we do 10 times the 3, 10 times the 1, 10 times 44, 10 times 5. I'll write it out. So we get 30 over 5 times b minus 10 over 2. And that is, goodness gracious, 440 over 5 minus 50 over 2 times b. Right? Or we could simplify some of these fractions, right? 6b.
And then 10 over 2 goes to
5. Yep. See, this is, multiplying that out was kind of a dumb step, right? It would have been smarter to look at this as like 10 times 44 over 5, right? And then what you can do is break 10 up into 2 times 5. Right? And then you can say, oh, these 5s cancel. 88. Now, you're like, or I could just get my calculator and punch in 440 divided by 5. That is absolutely true. You could do that. All right. Great. Now, what do we do? Plus 5 on both sides. And I'm going to add 25b. So we get 31b equals to what? I think you're right. 93 divided by 31 is 3. Yep. Ah! Yeah! Yeah! Ah! Ah!
He just said, I hate math. He didn't like the.
Ah! Hurt me with that.
Yeah, I kind of like math.
You kind of like math. Okay, I'm feeling better. My breath is coming back. The tightness in my chest is releasing. It's good.
What Jay says you are.
Dude, I like math on the addition, multiplication, division, and subtraction. That's it.
Yeah, I like math. When we had the multiplication table, remember? I could do that. Like, yeah, a whole lot more.
I'm hearing that you like math when it was numbers.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But you know, I mean, this b here, it's just a number you don't know. It's no different. Same thing.
That's complicated. We don't. And to do this, we can get it at school in March. Oh, God. Yeah,
What'd you say? Ahem! I can't hear. What'd you say? No letters. There's supposed to be no letters in math. There. Yeah. I hear you. Oh. Calculus ain't bad. It's more the same. What's that? As a what?
Look, my brain remembers something like what you're saying right now. After I leave this class, I'm not gonna
What I'm trying to say.
toss it out the back.
Sorry, I'm trying to get to another. So what I'm trying to say about calculus, guys, is that calculus. It keeps asking if I want to leave the site. That is weird. So like I'm trying to change from one homework to another, and it asks me, "Do you want to leave the site?" Like I'm not leaving the site. I'm just going to a different homework assignment. You know, it's weirding me out. Like, all right. So to answer your question, though, I say calculus is not hard. Like what I'm trying to say is calculus is actually not really harder than this course. Like once you've done this course and the next course and you get there, it's not like fundamentally like more challenging. If you build the base up to where you are, like it's just the next step. It's not like there's only like this select class of people who can possibly understand it. It's not like that. There will be fractions. Nah! Okay, well, fine, yes. All right, I give up. Only certain people can do math. We should all just go home and forget about it. You guys have beat the life out of me. Oh, number 3. So we have 2z minus 7 equals to minus 14. And so here's the question. Here's the question. Is minus 4 a solution to this equation?
Is -4 a solution for this equation? Well, sir. Well, you don't know yet, we gotta solve it. I already solved it.
You say you got to solve it. I say you don't have to solve it. I say all you have to do is plug it in and see if it
I
works.
say you go +7 and then you get 21, you can't minus 7. Oh, okay, no, never mind.
I mean,
That's an odd number, and both of our other numbers are even.
I think you're right though. Like he's saying, just solve it, and then if it's not the solution, then you know it's wrong. That's an alternate way to look at it. I don't disagree. But if we plug in minus 4 here, we get 2 times minus 4, which is minus 8, minus 7, which is what? Negative 15, which of course is not equal to 14. So no, not a solution. But I like your way of actually solving it, because then we actually have answered another related and interesting question, which is, what is the solution, right? So how would you solve this?
How do I solve it?
Add 7? Yeah, add 7.
So that means 2z equals 21.
21. So z equals to what? 20. Yeah, 21 over 2,
10.5.
which is otherwise known as 10.5. Very good.
I'll do practice. That's what it is. 10.5.
By the way, there's something that we pretty much never write past this point in math that you were sort of corralled into doing, you're forced to think about before, which is improper fractions, right? Like writing it in terms of proper fractions. Like how would you have been forced to write this in middle school?
What you call a mixed number.
Yeah, like a mixed number. That's right. So they would write this 10 and 1/2. That is bad. I tell you, that is really bad notation. Let me show you why. Check this out, guys. 10 and 1/2 times 2 equals to what? 10, right? The 2's cancel. Because the 2's cancel, yeah? Is that true? Is 2 times, what is 2 times 10.5? It's 21, right? That is correct. That is not. See, the mixed number presentation is misleading at best because it's missing something. 10 and 1/2 is a poor notation for 10 plus 1/2. That's actually what that means. So if we have 10 plus 1/2 and we multiply by 2, then we're going to be okay. See, because we're going to get 2 times 10 plus 2 times 1/2, which is 20 plus 1, which is 21, which is what I just said with the decimal form. So, moral of story, this is why I never ever want my algebra students to write their answer as a mixed fraction, because it's not useful to me. It's actually very hurtful because it leads to this mistake if we're not careful. I have seen this get calculus students who are still thinking in that notation. Okay, let's go on here. There's some word problems later in this section. You probably want me to see me do them. I will find it eventually. There is a word problem in here somewhere. Where'd that thing go? Man, I found it yesterday. Now it's hiding from me. Let's see here. Well,